So, Jens, when you hear the phrase breaking the silence, what does it make you think and feel?
Well, mostly about a criminal offense or something like that, where somebody was hiding a secret for I don't know which time frame, but then releasing something which hasn't been done before.
Okay, very interesting. And then when we're talking about it with regards to when you think of breaking the silence, it's breaking something that people aren't speaking about, someone's worried about talking about, someone's worried about releasing. How do you interpret that with regards to you and your mindset?
I was very good with always being discreet,
Hmm.
so I did not reveal too many things. And if somebody is releasing something, which was a secret or which he didn't want to talk, or he or she didn't want to talk about, then normally it must be very important to the
Hmm.
person or probably to the public.
Hmm. Hmm. No, absolutely, absolutely. And then when we're putting it into when we're putting it into mental health and whether it is something that people don't want to come out, people don't want to talk about, and when it's something personal as well, with regards to maybe something they're suffering with, something they're going through, whether it's something that they're scared about talking about, because if it is with mental health and they're worried that people are gonna judge them in a different way or look at them differently or think they're in inverted commas weak, which they're not. What would you say to somebody that is in that position where they want to speak out, but they're scared, they're terrified?
I can understand that because from my friends in England, when, for example, they're using the phrase he or she went mental, that's always a negative expression, negative word, because it doesn't mean that somebody was very happy and outspoken about something positive, because normally it means he was going crazy. And so the expression of the word mental by itself and then combined with mental health, I think it's a very difficult phrase you're using, and people expect probably something negative coming out of it. And
Mm-hmm.
talking about your own mental health issues or problems. It doesn't always need to be issues. Could be a problem.
Hmm.
Everybody has or had that. Then I think it's something which is difficult to talk about yourself or about other people, I think.
Because that's why a lot of people don't actually like to use, I know they don't like to use the term mental health. They like
Yes.
to use mindset or different things like that because you're right. It's everyone has a mental health. Everyone has one. It just deciphers on what's going on in their life as well. And then when it comes to football, did you find growing up in the sport, growing up in the industry, a lot of the times were you told you can't speak out about things that you might have been suffering with regards to your mindset? Did you feel that you were maybe ashamed or you couldn't? Because obviously things are, I mean, I'd say things are different, but it's still a stigma where people still aren't okay with talking about these things, especially in the world of sport.
I think it's a mm, evolution.
Mm.
When you're a young player, you have your doubts, your fears, and you need to overcome those, particularly when you uh, jump into a grown-up world. Yeah,
Mm.
because if you sign your first contract, people expect you to be a grown-up on the pitch.
Mm.
There's no childishness anymore or any childish behavior because you need to perform on the pitch with guys who may be proper adults, yeah, 30, 35, who have families, who have dependencies. And so you need to grow into it, which means your mental mindset or your mindset, I don't know even if I can say mental mindset, but your mindset needs to grow as fast as possible.
Mhm.
And from my experience, for example, particularly when I was young, I always had a small amount of fear, which I still had when I was like 36, 37, 38. But this small amount of fear always kept me going and made me becoming a better player by being motivated. And not too much. but the fear that I would fail on the pitch or make a mistake, or that because of that the manager would drop me. And as a
Mm-hmm.
goalkeeper, if you've been dropped, you're out for how long it takes. Yeah, you can't normally, you don't get back in the next game because you're out, you're in. And that my lesson was that I needed to uh, program my mind, so my mental state,
Mm-hmm.
to actually become a better player and to be completely resistant against criticism and failure.
Mm-hmm.
And I developed a way how to do that. And afterwards, when I was like 26, 7 and onwards, I can say I became a master in coping with pressure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, by programming my own mind and by performing at the same time.
Can I ask which tools or techniques you might have used or programmed at the
I think
beginning?
that's very easy. It's hard work, self-criticism and hard work. So
Yeah.
you need to analyze yourself. Sometimes a coach is helpful because sometimes you don't see things which could be improved, and because of that, you have a decent or good amount of self-criticism. If you
Mm-hmm.
want to become or if you want to develop into a top player, you need to be self-aware of your weaknesses. And in my case, I knew as a goalkeeper, I needed to work off all my weaknesses
Mm-hmm.
and my technical weaknesses. Because if you don't have any technical weaknesses anymore on the football pitch, you always know that you can cope with pressure because in a given situation, you can rely on your technical skills to perform like everybody is expecting you to perform.
Mm-hmm. One.
So and it results in nearly technical perfection.
Mm-hmm. Because it's interesting because one important thing you mentioned before about fear is that you had fear. Even when you'd go on the pitch, you would have fear. And I think what happens with a lot with everyone, including myself, is when we're faced sometimes with really fearful situations, we have two choices. We have the choice to run with the fear and go into the fear and just do everything we can and give it a go, or we do the opposite and we run away. And this is the borderline where you get two options. And a lot of people, and myself included in the past, would run away because we're scared of failure, rejection, whether it's on a football pitch, whatever it might be, that our managers, dropping us and whatever it is. We're so scared of the negative outcomes that we don't even try. But we won't get onto a football pitch. We won't get into a first team. We won't have our dreams come true. We won't, whatever it is we really want, unless we try and we continue to maybe fail here and there. Because I believe you don't get anywhere in life unless you failed in some aspect. You have to you have to almost know what rejection feels like. You have to almost know what failure feels like because then it makes you work harder to make your dreams come true.
Well, it's absolutely right. I don't know what to add to it.
You don't have to add anything.
I mean, my son, when he was like 20 or 21, he said to me, well, because he grew up in England, you're missing out on 100% of the shots you don't take.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I always remember that. And I thought, he's 21. What a wise line. Yeah. He brought up. And in football, the good thing about football is people don't sometimes don't think about
Mm,
the opposition because sometimes it doesn't matter if on a given day I'm not good.
mhm.
Doesn't matter at all because it can happen that the opposition is even worse because they have the same fears and
Yeah.
probably the same doubts and probably they're not as well educated or technically gifted or
Mhm,
worked as hard as I did. So the competition basically after a certain while went to my side.
mhm,
Yeah, so I don't know. For example, like yesterday I was watching a fantastic tennis match between Djokovic and Alcaraz.
mhm,
and you could see how Djokovic became mentally dominant
Yeah. Oh,
over others. And I mean, that's tennis. That's I think that's a little bit more in terms of mental games because it's 1v1 instead of 11 versus 11. The only thing is that in football, you need to overcome your fears because everybody can tackle you. Sorry, everybody can tackle you, and you could be scared of probably not playing anymore because of a bad tackle or whatsoever. But that has to do with fear as well. It's a mind game in showing the opposition in the tunnel, already in the tunnel. It's very hard to beat you, yeah, by the appearance
yeah.
you give to them and the impression they have from you. So even if you're scared, you can pretend not being scared because all of a sudden the other guy next to you, he's even more scared of you.
Mhm. Yeah, I absolutely agree. Even if you are terrified inside, just be big, embrace yourself, and act
Yes,
on the outside like you're not scared. And I think
yes.
also when you sometimes, or not even sometimes, when you a lot of the time put out there that you're not scared or you're not insecure or whatever it is that you are actually feeling, when you have to almost force yourself to act like you're not, it can help with the inside feelings of not feeling scared. And sometimes you then do ease and you start to feel more confident. You have to act in that way as well, and it does really help.
I think I found out when I was playing, a good tool to overcome that was mentally pumping myself up into a status where I had goosebumps, where I created goosebumps. And if you create goosebumps, I think you have a certain way of endorphins and adrenaline, and that makes you kind of over optimistic,
Hmm.
um, pain resistant,
Hmm.
and powerful. Yeah,
Hmm.
I don't know how to express it in the absolute right terms, but creating goosebumps for yourself, not because you're happy, but because you think, well, I'm invincible. Yeah,
Hmm. Yeah.
but I mean, it's a bit strange that I'm using that word because even when I played for other teams, um, I always try to generate such a feeling:
Hmm.
goosebumps, adrenaline, uh, lack of pain or pain acceptance, and these techniques, I think, are all mental techniques to get the maximum out of your performance.
Hmm. There's a fine line between excitement, anxiety, fear. They can all manifest and feel the exact same in your body.
Mhm.
People just don't realize that. So if you are creating goosebumps to create the fear, it's also creating some form of excitement. So it might all get muddled around, but it's generating this. I actually get it. And I understand why it's hard to explain because I'm finding it hard to explain. I just get the feeling. You can make yourself feel powerful even if you are scared because you're scared, but you're excited. And if you put it out there, you can feel invincible, which then pushes you into these different dimensions to do the things.
Yeah. Um, I mean, I'm listening to you. So as before, you said the right thing, and you didn't ask me a question now. So I just agree.
So, I have a question then. What is your what is your favorite memory when you look back on all your times in any team? But what is your favorite memory when you look back on your time in football?
I was lucky because I had a couple of fantastic moments.
Hmm.
And for example, as outsiders, we won something.
Hmm.
Or it started when I was young, and we had a fantastic team spirit, and that was a common thing which occurred in all of the successes we had. That we always had a fantastic team spirit to
Hmm.
achieve something, and even when I was playing for a small club in Germany, we all of a sudden became German vice champion, which never happened before and after. because we had a fantastic team spirit and a good quality, of course, yeah, of the players, which we didn't know before at the beginning of the season. And then it turned out the quality was very good.
Hmm.
Then it went on when I went to Schalke and played in the second division. Yeah, I was 18 years of age, still doing my A levels at school. And what I was talking at the beginning, all of a sudden, I jumped into an adult world.
Hmm.
And I needed to become an adult from one day to the other with a lot of disappointments, which is, I think, the base for success.
Hmm.
Because if you don't know what a disappointment is and failure, you don't know how to live and how to achieve success. And favorite, you were asking me for my favorite situation. Every time we've won something, I mean, there are players who have won much more than I did. Sometimes I was lucky because we won special things.
Hmm.
Um, and it was always a fantastic combination of team spirit, where some players always pushed the other players.
Hmm.
So that's a team dynamic, which is very, very important. And sometimes I have the feeling nowadays that this team dynamics, they do not apply really in modern teams because the players we see right now, there are only a few which have been really educated into leaders.
Hmm.
Um, because, for example, that can be great moments. All of us, you're a leader, but all of a sudden you become a follower because somebody else in your team is leading. Because in that moment you have a weakness,
Hmm.
and because I don't know, you made a mistake or whatsoever, and somebody else is pulling you out of that situation by leading the way and showing you that with a short period of recovery, even within the game, you can get to your top again.
Hmm.
That's a beauty of team sports. That's a dynamic process
Hmm.
where sometimes everybody can be a leader and create a fantastic moment for himself, but for the team as well. And all of a sudden, even as a leader, you're a small follower and
Hmm.
you're happy that somebody else is leading the way out of trouble.
I think also a really nice way to put what you just spoke about when you look at teamwork and team spirit and being part of a team is you can put it into just general life and general mindset and knowing that you're not alone in life. And whether it's family, whether it's friends, whether it's colleagues, whoever it is, you are part of a team in some aspect of life, and you are actually never alone. And you can rely on your team, friends, members, whatever it is. You can look to them for advice, you can look to them for confidence, you can look to them for support, and they can help and guide you along the way. But you're never actually alone in this life, whether it's 11 of you on a football pitch or you at home. You are actually never alone.
I disagree a little bit because if you developed an environment of friends and family around yourself, you're lucky because sometimes you can cheer them up, but even in bad times, you expect, or even if you don't expect it, they cheer you up again.
Hmm.
Yeah, they give you a hold and a lift. But there are so many people who are really alone in this world. Yeah, sometimes we don't see them, but they are alone. And I can imagine that your whole topic of mental health probably refers a little bit more to these people who are alone. And I can tell you from my experience now, I've met some people where you think, wow, they're so happy and lucky in their lives, and it turned out they were completely alone. What we did not see,
Hmm.
and even sometimes we see it. For example, I went for a run just now, and there were two guys lying on the street in a small uh, bed of paper,
Hmm.
and you run past them. We all know that you run past them, and nobody cares about them, and you don't think that they have anything in life apart from themselves. So I think, yeah, what we're talking about is a luxury world of a successful football team because that's why you're talking to me. But that was my previous life. My life now looks a little bit different. Yeah, we always try to be a member of a team.
Hmm.
Me still with my former teammates, or with a group of football players. We are playing football right now, or with a family, or with a group of friends. And I think that is hard work to actually have such a group of people around you. But as I said, there's so many people who are really alone in this world.
Hmm. I know, and I actually understand. And I think when it comes to that, if there is someone that's watching this and listening, and they feel on that side of things, they do feel alone, and maybe it is with regards to family and friends, then there are other, and I obviously understand with people living, out on the street and things like that, but there are people or there are people that you can call with regards to maybe they aren't your friends and your family, and there are helplines or hotlines or places that you can go if you really need that support. And there isn't all of the love and the support with regards to friends, family, and colleagues around you. There are, and I think that's an important point to note, is that people are even scared sometimes to reach out to a stranger. And you can actually, whether it is walking into somewhere or calling somewhere, if you do have a phone, and getting the support and help in that respect.
I think you have to adore these people who are helping others
Hmm.
in these cases. Coincidentally, I was sitting on a train, and there were two girls who were working at a train station in a, we call it mission,
Hmm.
train station mission, where homeless people or homeless teenagers
Hmm.
always would come because they felt rejection at home or violence, and they told me stories, and that's when you think, wow, these guys, they have mental issues. Yeah, for me, it was always maximizing my potential in football to overcome my fears and weaknesses and becoming a mental master to hopefully win most of the games. And yeah, as I said, normal life sometimes is different.
Hmm.
And you're only listening to me because I was a successful football player. Yeah, you you wouldn't listen to me if I was a normal guy with normal fears and normal issues in life.
I'm going to disagree on that.
Okay.
Only because I have, I mean, I'm not going to talk about it much on this podcast, but I obviously have my own podcast. And what I do on my show is I talk to everyone. Um, I talk to everyone from people like you to people that I went to the same physio as, because
Ah,
because I believe that it doesn't matter who you are. Everyone everyone's going through something. Everyone's stories are very different, but it doesn't matter who you are. And it's important to note that yes, you can be a professional footballer, and a lot of people will listen because people will idolize you, people will look up to you, people will want to hear what you've got to say. Um, and they'll want to follow those things and your tools and techniques. But then it's also so important to note that even if you aren't a professional footballer, even if you're not in front of the camera, even if you don't have thousands of Instagram followers, you're also still important in life. And your mindset, your mind, your soul, your values, your views, whatever it is that's going on is still as important. And that people will still listen. People still do want to help you. People will still listen to you, whoever you are. And I think that's what's important, is that it really doesn't, in some ways, it doesn't matter who you are. If you are going through something, or you have a friend that's going through something, or you have a story to share, and you don't feel, because I have had people say to me, oh, well, I'm not XYZ, I'm not important enough to be on your show, or whatever it might be. And I'm like, no, be quiet. Like, stop saying that, because that, first of all, is wrong. And second of all, of course you are, because everyone actually is equally important in life, I think. Everyone's just doing it on different levels.
yes, you're right. It's for example, yeah, I'm living in a country which right now, like the UK, we are having problems. But Germany's biggest problem sometimes, I think, is greed and envy.
Mhm.
Yeah, people are very, uh, can I say, jealous.
Mm-mm.
And what you're saying is expect mental problems when you talk badly about other people. And it's not important, for example, in the time of social media comparison. Uh, it's not important what you are, it's always important how you are.
Hmm.
Yeah. Be okay, don't betray people on for your own benefit. Be a good person.
Hmm.
Yeah. With mistakes, but don't intentionally try to harm or betray other people and or talk badly about them. And I think social media sometimes encourages that. We hear, for example, we hear stories from uh, in Harvard's, Kai Harvard's. He missed a penalty against Manchester United. I've heard a story that his wife got insulted. Yeah, I mean, what kind of person is that who is sending her a message by insulting her and even insulting, I don't know whether they have a baby or not, but her baby. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so these people always have to bear in mind that it comes back to you. If you
Yeah.
talk bad about other people and if you kind of make mistakes in that way, you will have a mental problem
Yeah.
because sooner or later it comes back to you.
Yeah. I agree. I agree. And yeah, I think she's pregnant and people, yeah, yeah, it was nasty. And I agree with the jealousy thing. And I think people should, I think also people don't realize sometimes when nasty comments are said to them, obviously people internalize the comments and they think, oh, well, this must be true, whatever someone has said. But a lot of the time, someone has said that to you out of jealousy. We just, as humans, we don't always realize that. So we internalize these dark thoughts that someone has said, but someone has only said it to us out of their own problems, their own insecurities, and their own nastiness. So you're right. Just don't say it to people. There's no point. Look, there's no point saying something if you can't be nice. It depends on what it is. It depends on what it is sometimes in life. I agree, but sometimes you just don't have to say the nasty things at all. You just don't, because if you're doing it out of a place where you're spiteful and you're jealous and you're insecure, you're only hurting someone else, and that's just not fair. Because you also don't know what that other person's going through too.
I watched the inauguration of Trump
Hmm.
2 days ago. And the thing which we still can learn from the Americans, they adore people who are successful.
Hmm.
And in Europe, or I don't know the whole of Europe, but in my country, it's the opposite. Walk out if you were successful and you make a mistake, they kill you. They like it because they try to put you on the same level where they are. And so, how can you become successful yourself if you are jealous, yeah, for the success of other people?
Yeah.
And that as well will create sooner or later a mental problem.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, what goes around comes around.
Yes.
Hmm. It does. So then, just before we wrap up, I want to ask you, if somebody came to you today, and I want to talk about the fear side of things. If someone came to you today and they were scared of something, they were scared of talking out or following their dreams or doing something they really wanted to do, but they were so scared of rejection and all the other feelings that come with it, what would you tell them to do?
The basis of becoming successful is always hard work. I've never seen it differently from that. Because even if you programize your own mind and by saying, okay, I'm going to win the lottery, you're not going to win because you don't do anything for it. But if you say, well, I'm becoming X, Y, Z because that's my goal in life, and you work hard for it, you can achieve it. You will achieve it. But just by saying, okay, I want to do that and that and that, but not working for it, you can wait forever. So
Hmm.
if you have a dream, it's fantastic. But um, be aware that you have to work hard for that dream.
Hmm.
It doesn't come for nothing.
You've got to get up, you've got to graft, you've got to, whatever it might be, you've got to get up and you've got to really go after the dream.
Yes.
Amazing. Is there
But
anything else that,
but
oh.
working. Yeah. Work is included.
Oh yeah. Yeah, 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 absolutely, absolutely. So I was going to ask, is there anything else that you'd like to share today?
I think we talked about a couple of interesting things.
Hmm.
Nothing in mind. Yeah.
Me too. Well, thank you very much for joining.
Thank you to you. And yeah, see you next time.